You want to go outside? Let's go. Come on. You're watching PSI Adrenaline. Enjoy the video. Why don't you explain to these folks, got to censor out that part there. Why don't you explain to these folks what we're doing today?
I don't know.
What are we doing tonight? I mean, for real. What can we do? No? Check and tell me.
I think we're gonna do some changing of some transmission fluid.
No way!
What?
No, we're gonna be changing the transmission fluid on the old Impala here. It says online that we need, what is it? 14 or 13.7 quarts. But it's really only gonna be 8 quarts. No, we got some extras back at the house, so if we need extra, then we got extra. Alright, you guys ready to get started on the old Impala here? So you're gonna want to start with a good jack. Here's a good little learning video for you. So as you can see, I got the jack right there on the subframe. That'll work. Get yourself a set of jack stands. Put them underneath the subframe like so on either side. Then you can go ahead and let the jack down. And you let the jack down and pull the jack out. And then you gain access to your trans pan right there. Then you get a couple of pans, just to make sure. I got 2 pans because on this 2007 Chevy Impala with a 3.5 liter, it takes approximately 7.4 quarts. Then you get yourself a 10 millimeter. It doesn't matter what it's on, just as long as you have a extension, because when you get the bolts broke loose on all the way around the pan, you can then start to loosen just with the extension in the socket. Or if you have a deep well, you can just use a deep well. Don't matter how you do it, just as long as you get them loosened up. Just break the bolts loose. Don't take them all the way out yet, because in order for the fluid to drop without making a huge mess, you have to have it come out of one side. And I usually choose the skinnier side of the pan so it don't go all over the place. Just be warned, this is kind of a long and kind of a tedious process. So, you know, just like I said, when you get these bolts broke loose all the way around, you just go ahead and you loosen them slowly all the way up to the pan, leaving these ones usually tighter. So then it kind of drops like this. Alright, I'm just going to give you guys an explanation or show you how I'm doing this. So I just went around and I broke all the bolts loose all the way around the pan. And now I can go ahead and just start loosening these bolts up. Should be able to do it with no ratchet at this point if you got them loose. So start by loosening. And my idol's kind of like Cletus McFarland, and that it's just a 6 guy. I don't remember what that guy's name was anyways, but yeah, so hopefully we can get to that point to where I can do that kind of stuff. But right now, we just have this slop work and goofing off. New goop boofing, as we like to call it. But yeah, ooh, just caught that one perfectly. Alright, we're gonna start this one now. It does get kind of tiring doing this over and over and over again, but you got one of them little handheld ratchets, like the little circle things, go that'd be nice, but still, you're gonna have to. Ooh, that one hit me in the eye. Gosh. Alright, now I can stick it back on the ratchet, because when you get to the end here, it's kind of a difficult process. Yeah, it is a difficult process when you get to this last part here, so I like to use a ratchet just because. Oh my gosh. You just go ahead and keep on working your way around, like so. Here's that tight one right there. And you're going to see more fluid drop. And from here it should be pretty easy. like to like hold the pan up a little bit just to make it a little less hard to turn with your fingers. Oop, there goes quite a bit. And then with the ratchet, I'd say with the ratchet's the best way to do it now from here. Because you do get the ones that are tight. Alright, come on. Let's get rid of this thing. You're gonna want to brace it with your hand. You know, make sure you're all stretched out before you get under here and do this one here. Start new goop boofing, cause this kind of new goop boofing ain't too fun right here. Oh goodness! And then you are gonna want to hold up this pan with that one arm. So if you get some help by somebody, that works too. But then, if you are smart, you either wear these kind of gloves. Well, no, not those kind of gloves. If you're smart, you would wear the right kind of gloves. If you know what I mean, like oil changing gloves and stuff like that. Because this crap on your skin is not good for you. But you know, I'm a new goop boofer. If you're anything like me, then you could be new goop boofing too, brother. You go ahead and inspect your transmission pan for any shavings like that. That's all shavings. That's normal. That is a lot of shavings. My goodness. Wow. It's like caked, like mud. Oh my gosh. Now that right there is not a good sign. That's a lot of clutch material. But this transmission's never shifted hard on me, so this is really confusing. Maybe this is normal for these ones. These electronic, I don't know, they're all electronic transmissions, but I believe these 07s, they're a different kind. I don't know what the heck the deal is with them, but I'm gonna have to check into that. Huh. Weird. Alright, and then from there, this filter, this thing right here that's moving around, needs to come out. Oh, there's a bolt right there. Needs to come out next. So you can take, I might need a little help here for this, very gently work it out. I'm gonna get a pan underneath there. Ooh. Well guys, look like we new boot goofed too much again. I accidentally got my phone full of transmission fluid. Ain't that a whinky dink? Oh my gosh, you guys should see this. It's horrible. I want to take this this fancy hardened gasket here. Look at that, holds form. If you guys are anything like what I am, I'm broke, so heck with that. This is the flimsy, hard, make my life heck gasket. I'm going to show you guys a little trick that I use. I'm actually going to be doing the rest of this transmission flush tomorrow, so I'll show you a little trick anyhow and how to get this gasket straightened out. And yes, next it's on to cleaning this transmission pan out. It's no fun, but you got to do her. Voila, right? No, not right. These pans are a pain in the crapper to clean. My best friend in this method is gasoline. If you're a new goop boofer, you use gasoline. But it just breaks it down a little bit. So, and I like to clean around this too, around the bolts, just because it makes it easier when you get to the end of tightening the bolts when you're putting it back on. It doesn't crunch it and make it harder to turn, and also you're not getting rocks in your threading. So make sure these holes are cleaned out too. And then I like to take my bolts and let them soak too, because as you can see, that is literally all from the bolts and the threads. When you're taking it out, they get a little bit. So you just shake it around. You can also just let them sit in there too, it don't really matter. But shake her around and get them all nice and cleaned up. Look, they're already coming pretty clean. Wow. This is the trick that I do. Put the gasket on top of the pan and then I just stick the bolts in the opposite way. You can let it sit for like an hour, or when you take your time with the transmission, it'll just form automatically. So go ahead and remove the filter from the package. And you just slide it in just like the other one came out. That'll be from right there. Oh, it's kind of a hard sucker to get in there. You have to kind of press with your palm, wiggle it up in there. That should be about it. Yep, that's good. Have your bolts right next to you. You're gonna need to screw the pan up just to get it held. There, that should be perfect. Alright, in this part of the video, I just went around the pan and I just screwed the bolts in, as you can see. And then what you can do is you can just take and use each corner to get the pan in place, and then you can kind of let the pan hang there, and then yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. For some odd reason I didn't do it in this video, but just go each corner so you don't have to hold your arm up the entire time. Go around and make sure all your bolts are tight. You can see that gasket flare a little bit, because you don't want to do it through transmission fluid. You get them tight, go around and make sure that the gasket flares out. And go around and double check just to make sure that they're definitely tight. Maybe give them a little bit more of a turn after you go around once. Alright, that should be good. So now you should have your pan back on, your bolts in. And the gasket should be flaring out around the pan. Well, and those are not flaring out, so we have to give those a couple more tight. Yep, those are loose. Alright, so now that the bolts are in there, you can just take them out and the gasket should be pretty well formed. And it looks like it is. Then you're going to want to take your filter, and you're going to want to pop your filter into the transmission. But on this one, I'm not going to be using this little seal here, because when I pulled the transmission filter, it was hard enough pulling it out that I have confidence that this filter won't drop when it's when it's bolted all back up. Go ahead and grab your jack it up so you can take your jack stands out. Slowly let the car down with the jack. Go ahead and open your hood up. Make sure you have a clean funnel. Remove the dipstick and stick the funnel in. Go ahead and start adding your fluid. Add 7 quarts to the transmission. Stop filling it. Go ahead and pull the funnel out like so. Then you take and go ahead and put your dipstick back in. Go ahead and start your car. Then you take and you run it to first, second, third, drive, park. From there, go ahead and check the levels. And it looks like it is full. Some footage. So, after you're done putting with the pan bolts around the inside of the pan, go ahead and take and replace that filter. You're gonna need that filter, so replace that. So, in my video, I didn't take and use that seal, but it's not that hard to get out. You have to take a screwdriver and kind of gently press it up in there and then pull it out. Work it out and grab a pliers and just pull it out. But in my case, I didn't need to do it and you usually don't need to do it because that seal doesn't go bad all too often. You know, maybe once every 5 transmission flushes. So then you take and you put the filter in, and then you grab the pan with the gasket still on it, carefully lift it up, put a bolt in one corner, put a bolt in the other corner, and then put a bolt in all 4 corners. And then you can hold, the pan will be able to hang there. And then you just take, and when you have another bolt in your hand, or when you grab another bolt, you can just push the pan up and thread it in. You don't have to thread it all the way, just thread it so it's resting. And then go around with a ratchet or the extension in the socket and just tighten it up the rest of the way. Alright guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.